I guess to jump in, one of the really important aspects that a company has to deal with is you hear this kind of terminology, keep the lights on, right? And what is keep the lights on? Well, keep the lights on is where IT groups are spending money on legacy systems. That costs, at most organizations, you're spending 70% of your budget on keeping the lights on, right? Or running those legacy environments. So how do you address that, right? Well, one of the biggest ways you can address it is by decommissioning or eliminating your legacy systems. You don't want to, in most cases, you don't want to throw that away. You need access to the data, but you may not need the transactional system still around, right? What are some reasons why you would want to sort of eliminate those legacy systems? Let's talk about that real quick, right? So again, having legacy systems costs you money. You have typically older systems that are running, and it's hard to maintain those older systems, right? Think about legacy hardware. How often do you update your computer? And you update your computer because the hardware fails or the operating system needs an update. It can be hard to manage legacy systems from that standpoint. You also want to kind of eliminate the access from a security standpoint, right? So the longer you have a legacy system out there, the more opportunity is for someone to access that data that shouldn't access the data. I'll spin that slightly as well, which is a retention management concern, right? So sometimes you actually want to eliminate some of the data that's in the system, and you literally want it to be gone from a legal standpoint. Again, so you have that piece where if data is available in the system and it hasn't been removed, it's legally open to access through lawsuits and things like that. So another piece, again, right, in addition to sort of that legacy spend, what we also see is where is the component from a decommissioning standpoint come into play? It's really like you see it with mergers and acquisitions, or a lot of times with divestitures, right? So when a company has to get rid of some of that data and carve it out, again, a great example is a company might sell off one of their divisions. So they want it out of their system because it's no longer a part of it, but the new organization, right, that spinoff needs to maintain that data, again, from an audit perspective. From an audit perspective, we may make that possible through a product called Data Guard, right? And again, when I talked about before, accessing the data is most important. So we store the data in a database format that's easily accessible, not only through reporting mechanisms, but through third-party analytic tools. But all the points that I kind of highlighted before, one of the benefits is you can do multiple legacy systems, right, in one location. So now you're managing it and securing it in one area. I talked about the access from a third-party perspective. We also are able to deal with retention management. So, and again, when you think about retention management, it's over a period of years. So if I have data that's older than 7 years or data that's older than 10 years, I can remove that data and literally eliminate it out of the system. Sometimes you want to hold on to that data. So there's things like legal holds and some activities that you perform inside your organization that says, hey, I can't remove this data. We've got an ability to cover that piece as well. So again, starting the point, it's really important to sort of manage your legacy systems, get as many of those out of your environment and reduce your spend. And again, you want one system ideally that you can address and have all of those pieces in one area. So it's accessible, but it's maintainable, and it has that audit capability in some of those pieces.